Professional, very professional looking. Fellas, it's the stick for a little quick chit chat, a little talk, a little update on all things in the past month, right? First and foremost, let's capitalize on a couple of things here, fellas. Let's talk about the good, let's talk about the bad, and let's talk about the downright sickening. So, downright sickening, okay, we're talking about the power blocks, fellas. Now, listen, I made a comment about how the $3,000 dumbbells, and someone said, oh, that's hilarious. It keeps getting more expensive. Fellas, I ain't lying. They're freaking about $3,000, and here's why. Listen, first and foremost, I give you the nitty gritty because this is the freaking deep cuts of Del Hagen, okay? You guys are the freaking patrons. You get the deepest of cuts. I don't know if you want them, but you get them, okay? So I order these dumbbells. First and foremost, let's just talk about something for an instance here. All right? I joined a hardcore bodybuilding gym on top of Crunch. Now listen, Crunch is very close to the house, and there's multiple locations. So I figured, well, it's close to the house. I got two locations right around me, both within 15 minutes. And when I start traveling again on the road, I would go to gyms all over the country. Sometimes that's good, sometimes that's bad. I've been to a lot of cool gyms, but I've also gone to a lot of towns where it's like, damn, there's nothing here. At one point, I even had to work out at a Planet Fitness, okay? So I figured, well, I'll still try to hit up cool gyms, but worst case scenario, there might be a Crunch in town, and I'll just go to that, So I got the Crunch membership. And it's good. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. They got like 5 deadlift platforms and squat racks. Not that I can even do that stuff anyways. They got like 10 flat benches, which I've been doing that. And they got just they got dumbbells up to 125 pounds, The good rubber, solid, whatever brand, I don't know, but they're good dumbbells. And, obviously, as of right now, life is just eating, specifically eating treats from the fanny sack, going to physical therapy, and then just lifting weights on my own, basically. I mean, that's my life right now. It's my job, essentially. So, I figured I would go to this hardcore gym. It takes about half an hour to get to. I went there, and I was like, damn, the dumbbells go up to 150s. Okay, that's pretty sick, because ultimately, this gym is more expensive. It's twice the price. Not that the gyms are even expensive anyway. It's not like this is a freaking, I don't know, Orange Theory. I don't even know if that's expensive, but I'm saying something stupid like that where it's like 100 bones a month. Crunch is $30 a month for like the, gold package or whatever. We can go all over the freaking world and whatever. Tanning, which I'll never use, and hydrotherapy, which I'll never use, that BS, but it allows a guest, so I just bring my wife with me all the time, right? Whereas the ironclad gym is like $35 for the both of us. So, $70 a month I'm paying. I hardly ever go, but the way that I saw it was this gym membership is totally worth it because dumbbells are expensive as beast, and if I come here and press these 150s or whatever. I can't do that anywhere else. Nowhere else goes up to 150. So it's totally worth it. Well, fast forward a couple months, and I said, you know what? I like dumbbells, and I think they're safer on the shoulders, right? And, you can, depending on how you press, right, you can kind of get like a squeeze up top, or you can be neutral on the bottom or more pronated on the bottom, however you want to press. It's you got flexibility with it. So I got the freaking iron, or what the frick are they called? They're called the Power Blocks, the Pro Series, up to the 175 pound. I've only been to a couple gyms, and I go all over the country, and I've only been to a couple gyms that have 200-pound dumbbells. So the fact that you get these Power Blocks that go up to 175, it's like, well, it's a no-brainer, right? Now, the thing is with them, they're big, they're bulky. It's okay for pressing, but for like curls and, seated overhead press, it's damn near impossible to kick those suckers into position. And for curls and stuff like that, they're not normal dumbbells. So, they're very big and cumbersome. So it's like you can only like hammer curl them. And for rows, they got these like rubber grips. They're like slippery. So basically, I guess what I'm trying to say is, if you want a dumbbell bench press heavy, it's a good way to go. But other than that, they're not the best tool. So I was I was dumbbell benching with them, and let me talk about the price of them for a second. Somebody mentioned to me, they said, Eric, if I got these, these is running me $2,100 on Rogue or something. And I'm like, wait a second, $2,100 on Rogue, because when I checked out the Power Blocks website, I think they were like $18.99 for the 125, and then like $350 or something for the 175 expansion pack, and then shipping, which is like whatever. So it's like, okay, it's like, whatever, 24, some $100. Well, I thought I was a smart guy at the time. I'm like, wait a second. They're out of stock in Power Block. So I'm going to order the expansion kit on Power Block. Then I'm going to order the dumbbells from Perform Better, right? So I ended up paying double shipping and over top dollar price. So those dumbbells cost me about $3,000. Was it money well spent? Absolutely not. And here's why. Let's talk about this. I'm not just saying this stuff to, just whisper in your ear. I'm telling you what you might want to hear, what you might want to be interested in. And then ultimately, that's listen. So I was like, I got the dumbbells after having to wait for a month, which is a whole different can of worms. I ordered these suckers, and then it's like 1 month or 1 week goes by, 2 weeks go by, 3 weeks go by. I call a company and I'm like, what the hell? What's happening? I ordered these almost 3 weeks ago, and I haven't got any tracking or anything like that. They're like, oh yeah, they're out of stock. I'm like, okay, well, you could have told me they were out of stock, because I ordered through you guys, and I would have ordered a different website where I wouldn't have had to pay double shipping, and I would have got them earlier. So, it pissed me off. And I'm like, it's okay, whatever. I got them. Now I can go freaking beast mode on the dumbbells. And they're, heavy dumbbell bench pressing is fun. But listen to this now, fellas. Okay. I felt it a lot. You feel it in the pecs, because you can mess around with how you press with them. So it's like, yeah, you can definitely feel it in the pecs. Do you feel it more than a standard bench press? I don't think so. And here's the thing. Is it safer? Well, the pressing pattern, I do feel like it might be a tad bit safer when the pressing. What's not safe is picking those suckers up, hoisting them. Do you know what I'm saying? It's the whole process to get them into place. Okay? It's like, all right, well, this will make me a beast at least, because I have to manhandle these weights, especially these giant computer blocks. Very hard to handle, but it'll make me stronger. So I did it for a week straight or something like that. Funny thing, so then afterwards I go to the barbell. The next, I'm in the gym or whatever. I'm like, okay, I'm just going to bench press because the dumbbells don't get heavy enough here. Barbell bench. And my barbell bench feels weaker than ever. Okay, so at the end of the day, what's the moral of the story? Well, okay, dumbbell benching, good assistance exercise, not worth $3,000. And if you're going to focus on them as your primary movement, like primary strength movement, no bueno. Okay, the barbell is way better, or the neutral grip barbell, the Swiss bar, whatever you want to call it, right? Because it's just easier. It's like it's like squatting, for instance. Like one, you have to unrack and walk backwards or something, or you would have to pick up the weight, clean it to get into front squat, and then front squat it. Like that would be the analogy. Whereas with the dumbbells, deadlift them, kick them to get into position, versus like a freaking monolift where you just pick it up and then you can squat it. You're going to be way stronger in the rack as opposed to having to clean the weight. Is one better than the other? Well, I think they're different, but let me just say that the carryover is not spectacular. So if you are one of those people, because I've heard this so many times, I've heard people say oh man, once I got rid of barbell bench, my pecs grew and everything was so much better. Barbell bench is a horrible exercise, and I don't know, maybe for some people, but for me personally, when I have a good pressing sesh, like with the barbell, I'm always very sore the next day in my pecs. You can push the weight, you can push the reps. When you freaking hit failure or whatever, if you're in a safety rack, you can very easily fail. Whereas with dumbbells, it's like, oh, you know what I mean? Like you'd either have to throw them down, it's like, or you just can't fail. Do you know what I'm saying? Or if there's pin down here, you're gonna have to do a 350-pound sit-up. So listen, we're not gonna talk about this too long. It's already been 10 freaking minutes talking about this, but ultimately, okay, that's update number one. The dumbbells, not worth it. But I will continue once I build a new home gym here. I'll do them the freaking $3,000. So, if I do overhead press or bench press or anything like that, I think I'll always maybe end with just, high rep dumbbell sets. you know, and then eventually hopefully become a freaking beast, or the 175s are easy to kick into position and then hit like a set of, you know, I don't know, 10, something like that. You know what I mean? But as of right now, like the heaviest I've gone with the pressing was the 167.5 or whatever. And the pressing was fine, but kicking those weights into position, deadlifting them off the floor and kicking them into position was freaking. And maybe it won't be the thing. Maybe it won't be a big deal when my knee's healthy. But let me tell you, I thought I was going to blow my knee out again trying to do that because, yeah, I don't have any explosiveness in my knee right now. So having to freaking, you know, power jerk those weights into place was sketch. Okay, we're done talking about that. Let's talk about the Folgers experience. Okay, I bought the 180 cup canister of instant Folgers coffee. And I made the vid, you know, talking about 20 scoops. Now, fellas, after I made that vid and I read all the comments, people say, oh my God, Sticky Ricky, don't do this. You're asking for a heart attack. You're going to kill yourself. And it got me thinking. I was like, wait a second. Is this really that bad? I mean, like, I don't know. Maybe I didn't have 20 scoops and all that. So I drank the majority of that and like had a terrible headache. So, I mean, a lot of caffeine, whatever. But so the first day, so basically how I did it the first day was I just like shoveled giant spoonfuls in and whatever. I was like, okay, that should be good. Tons of energy. Second day with the 20 cups or whatever, you know, drank the majority of it. But for whatever reason, people got me second guessing myself. Well, day after day after day, I kind of just did back to the eyeball approach, and I ran out of it, and I did the math because, I saw when I bought it, and then when I was done, I ran out of that 180 cups in 10 days. So I averaged 18 cups a day. And I'll tell you guys something. Everyone's saying, oh my God, you're going to kill yourself. This is extremely dangerous and all that. And I'm not saying you should do it because if you're not desensitized 100% to caffeine, you probably will have a heart attack or something. But I've been drinking, I mean, look, I'm just sucking it down right now. Listen, guys, you're talking to a guy that has been drinking at least like a pot of coffee a day for, freaking 10 years, if not more. At one point, my worst was like a pot of coffee, fat burners, and pre-workout. Like, that was my worst phase back in, like, I would say that's my psycho 2016 behind-the-back deadlifting phase. Where I was like, oh, my God, I got to hit this new PR, anything. So it's just like guzzling, just so unhealthy. Yeah, but anyways, the 18th. So here's the thing about the coffee, guys, and all that. This is just a word to the wise, basically. So 18, 20, whatever you want to call it, cups of coffee, like, if you're not used to it, or like if you drink, okay, whatever, it doesn't even matter. It's totally objective. But let's say you don't drink much coffee, and then you have 10 cups of coffee. You're like, holy buckets! You're going to feel off the walls, and it's crazy and intense. Well, the second, the third, the fourth, the fifth day you do that, you're never going to feel like that again because you're freaking desensitized fast to it. You know what I'm saying? I don't know, adrenal fatigue, call it whatever you will. But so, after that first workout and the 18 cups of coffee, like, it's just like you're just drinking it just because it's habit. You know what I'm saying? So, like, don't go down that train with the extreme consumption, really. And that's why I've gone back. The Folgers, like, this is crappy quality coffee anyways. And what's the point? It's cheap. What's the point? So that's why I even got rid of the, well, first of all, if I had 180 cups of instant coffee, of course I'm going to drink a ton of it because it's just readily available. But it's the same thing with making pots of coffee. That's why, like, I've been making a pot of coffee and then drinking the whole thing. It's like, well, I don't want to waste it. I got to drink it all. Eventually that's why I just turned to instant coffee in the first place. It's like, well, if I don't have a full pot of coffee in front of me, I'm not going to drink that much coffee. So then I went to the instant coffee, and now I'm kind of back down to the phase where it's like, I know it's funny, but 10 cups, 10 servings of instant coffee. And what's kind of funny is this is 2 servings right now just for, whatever, enjoyment. So that's 12 cups of coffee a day. But I'm already cutting it down. But ultimately, I'm just trying to say that, like, listen, as you drink caffeine more and more, coffee, whatever like that, eventually it's a habit. You're not even going to get anything out of it. So if you guys are not, seasoned, experienced veterans of, caffeine or coffee consumption like that, 1 cup is going to give you plenty of energy. And eventually you're going to get used to 1 cup. And then it should be 2 cups. And eventually 3 cups. And eventually 4 cups. And eventually 5 cups. And do you get what I'm saying with that? Like, if you just start with, 5 cups right away, you're going to feel like off the walls, bouncing with energy, but eventually that 5 cups is not going to feel any different than how 1 cup would have felt. You know what I'm saying? So that's the coffee update. 18 cups of coffee, but ultimately it just never made me feel energized. If anything, it just made me feel tired. It's crazy. It's like I think at a certain point, it almost has like a negative effect. What are we going to talk about next here? Okay, first of all, let's talk about a little update on the equipment here, guys. I bought a new belt, okay, because I've been using. Funny story, the belt that you've always seen me use the entire time I've been on YouTube is like this piece of crap, skinny belt. Like, I don't even know what kind of belt it is. People always ask me, Eric, what belt do you use? Well, let's just say I took it from the University of Wisconsin football strength and conditioning room. So that belt was probably from like the freaking Rose Bowl or something in the 1980s. Like, who knows? But the thing was, it's tough and it's lasted, decade, a half a century or whatever. So maybe it is a good belt. But I just figured it's time for an update, mainly because that thing's covered in so much sweat and cat piss probably, and it's just so grimy and rusted over and stuff now. So I bought a new belt. I'm going to try a different approach. Now, everyone's always about their lever belts. They think they're really cool, snap lever or whatever, Larry Wheels, snap it and throw it off, whatever. Listen, guys, I went to a Spud Inc. I got a ratchet belt, okay? So like a ratchet strap, all right? Pretty cool. Never seen that before. So the funny thing is I almost want to get a thicker, fatter waist because I think it's too big. I had an extra large and it doesn't quite it gets there, it's close, but it doesn't quite get tight enough. And that's like, damn it, because the whole point of the ratchet crank system is you can crank it and like that ratchet crank or whatever, it will make that thing tighter than you could ever get a normal belt. So like that was the plus in it, but it's just like, I guess my waist just isn't thick enough yet, unfortunately. So I got to start eating more cookies. But another nice thing about it is I believe most powerlifting belts are like 4 inches wide or something like that. And this is not a powerlifting belt. This is a strongman belt. So it's a Spud Inc. Pro Strongman Series or something like that belt, like the 5-inch. So it's a little bit wider. It's not leather like most belts. It's that really tough canvas that Spud has on all of its products that it sells. But everything that it sells is just like tough canvas. But I think that's kind of cool, and I'll let you guys know how that is. If you're looking for a new belt. I mean, belts are very important. And the funny thing is like, God, it's so funny because everything. And I know I'm not the only one, but man, from time I get so dogmatic about stuff at times, and I was the person who's like, oh man, everyone's so dogmatic, too dogmatic. But then it's like I get into these things, like the fat grips, for instance, for like a month. And I'm not saying I'm still going to keep using them. And I think they're great. But like everything I was doing was like fat grips on it. Like everything I was doing had fat grips on it. And it's like that video I made yesterday. It's like, that's great, but then you're just really making your grip and your hand strength your limiting factor. Like, unless you're a freaking rock climber, why would you want that? You know what I'm saying? Like, and even if you were a rock climber, train the grip, but then also get some juicy, sucky lats and stuff like that. So, I guess I'm saying with the dogmatic thing is then since my surgery, it's like, well, I don't need to go super heavy, so I don't need to use a belt for anything. But then it's like, wait a second, but heavy is totally like relative to your strength, basically. So it's like, as my strength has plummeted from surgery, it's like, yeah, sure, 315 in the past for like a squat wasn't heavy, but why not just put the belt on and be able to crank out more squat reps or deadlifts or anything like that with that weight? It's just like, it's almost like it doesn't make sense, like why people are opposed to certain things. And it's just like another one too. This is another great update. It goes hand in hand. So when blood flow restriction straps came out, occlusion training, I was like, oh my God, it's the stupidest thing ever. Like, I train to be strong. I want to be strong. Like, why would you want to, even if it did build muscle, why would you want to build muscle without building strength? Which is stupid because the occlusion training is like super fast. Like, from the physical therapists that I work with, like, it doesn't, like, usually what we do is we'll do like 3 or 4 exercises. Let's say 3 exercises. And then there's a timer on the occlusion straps, the blood flow straps or whatever on the machine it's hooked up to, that it doesn't let you go past 8 minutes. So, you try to get 30 reps, then 15 reps, then 15 reps, and 15 reps with 30-second break in between. So basically, and then you have 30-second rest in between. So that's, 3 rests basically. So that's a minute and a half of resting. And then basically you're going to bang out, a set of 30 might take you, a minute? A set of 15 will take you half a minute. So half a full minute. So it's like 2.5 minutes. So it's like really 4 minutes. So 4 minutes per exercise, you do for 3 exercises, that's 12 minutes. You know what I mean? So for 12 minutes, you can get this nasty pump. But then I've also seen comments like, well, Ricky, what's the point of just getting a massive pump if you just lose it right away? Well, and that's how that's a very ignorant thing to say because that's not exactly per se what's happening. Again, I commented to someone on my channel yesterday, it's not just about a pump. There's a lot of research now, legit research, studies on PubMed that prove that a controlled group or a blood flow group versus placebo group, the blood flow restriction group, had more strength, had more size. It's been proven over and over and over again. And they even says in a lot of these journals, it's not totally understood why, this hypoxia or whatever, lack of oxygen, because of oxygen's in blood, so lack of blood flow or whatever. It's not totally understood why it's so effective, but they think it just has a lot to do with, God, I just read this yesterday. So I don't know, whatever. I'm not even going to, just look it up. But basically it's just there's a million studies and there's just a lot more to it than it's not just a pump. You know what I mean? That's really not at all what it is. It's the metabolic stress or whatever. And then because of the extreme stress, it causes more growth factors and stuff and just this whole complex chain reaction in the muscles or whatever from the low oxygen environment that it's causing, basically. So anyways, my point is 12 minute, just for instance today, so this is kind of my new thing. I want to do my best to end every session. Now, a lot of times, sometimes I'm rushed because I go to the gym and then after the gym, I go straight to physical therapy, and I end up working out for, usually on average 3 hours, 3.5 hours, maybe 4 hours if I have enough time, but it's always rushed at my first session because I got to make it to physical therapy on time. So I'm going to do my darndest best to give myself that 10 minutes at the end. It's so easy to set up, but I get it. It is kind of a pain because you got to put the straps on and then inflate them or whatever, which, let's be honest, it's 12 minutes to lift, but, the setup itself is maybe, 3-5 minutes. So it's not a lot, but when you're in a bind, it kind of is annoying. But for instance, today I benched, okay? And here's another thing that I'm starting to do too. I don't know if it's just age and the fact of injuries and all that. I want to avoid that. But I'm starting to look more so, and I've been doing this forever, and I've recommended this forever too. But I'm really starting to kind of get away from maybe, and let's just say maybe it's benching, because I can't say that I'm doing this because for other exercises, I'm always working up to 1 rep. But for bench particularly, I think it's just because I've seen a lot of people tear pecs and I don't know what it is. But lately, for instance, today, I'm doing a lot more warm-up sets and a lot more reps within the warm-up sets because, one of the physical therapists, I talk about all this kind of stuff because I want to learn. I'm not the smartest person in the world. I have a lot of experience. I've been around the block many a times, and I feel like I'm pretty damn smart when it comes to exercise and lifting and all that kind of stuff. But there's still so much that we can learn. But yeah, ultimately, basically when you're tearing stuff, and this has nothing to do with me. I was just curious because a different person I knew tore their pec, and I'm like, why is tearing a pec basically, it's just too much. It's the tendon that you're tearing, by the way. It's never really the muscle. It's always the tendon. And that's terrible because when you tear the tendon doesn't heal very fast or good. It doesn't have this low blood flow. You know what I'm saying? It takes forever and it's very hard to recover. But basically, it's just too much stress on that tendon. So it's not like the muscle per se. So like if you do a lot of like warm up reps and warm up sets, first of all, it's really important to do that because it just builds up synovial fluid in the joint, which makes everything feel better, right? More fluidy joints, basically. It's what makes your joints feel better, right? Not brittle, cracking, popping, whatever. You got fluid in there. But you're doing a lot of reps, so you get a lot of synovial fluid there, so you're less likely to get injured then. But on top of that, you're just fatiguing your muscles out with a lighter weight, so that you're not going to be able to like work. Let's just say if you're benching and let's say your max is 405, and you did 135 for 3, 225 for 2, 315 for 1, then you try going for 405 for 1. Well, when you go to 405 for 1, if your muscles can be plenty strong from it, but if your tendon and stuff's not warmed up, stretched out, whatever, you don't have enough fluid built up in there, the muscles are strong, they're fresh and primed up, so it's just putting your tendon at more of a risk than if you're kind of, people say like pre-exhaust or like, fatigue the muscle before you get up to your max. And again, this wouldn't be good for like powerlifting and stuff like that, but like if we're trying to, you're going to build plenty of strength and size doing, more than one rep anyways. But my point is, so now like I'll just give you an example of how I'm warming up. Like 135 on bench, I did 20 times. 185, I did 20 times. 225, 15 to 20, whatever, that depends on feel. 275, 10, I believe. 315, I think I did, these are warm-ups, by the way. It's not like I'm maxing out. But I think it was like 8, and then 365, I did 3, and then I was like, okay, that 365 for 3 felt really good. I bet I can squeeze out a few 405s. But then I was like, wait a second, well, okay, what is the point per se of going to 405 when I could simply, last week I did an AMRAP with 315. How about this week, instead of, jumping from 365 to 405, why don't I just do another set of 365 and went balls to the wall and see how many reps I could get, right? So when I warmed up with 3, then I did 8 reps right afterwards, right? So just a different approach as opposed to, 365 going to 405. And let's just say, I'm stiff, I'm tight, I feel like crap that day and I go for 405 and it's like, wait a second, this doesn't feel very good. And then, you're just increasing the risk of injury. Now, listen, don't take that out of context. I'm not saying to don't do 1 rep, don't max, don't lift super heavy. But I think you have to look at certain exercises and you have to go off of how you feel too. And the way that I feel at for the most part is just because of, and I think it's the fact that I can't squat and stuff like that. My shoulders have gotten so tight, right? So that's why it's like benching doesn't feel that good right now. But as it starts feeling better, I'll probably start feeling safer with it. But, just things to think about, and that's the beauty of lifting. There's a million different ways to do it. You can do a ton of warm-up reps. You can do very few warm-up reps and be more primed up and be stronger for your top sets. Or you can do a million warm-up sets and accumulate all that volume and then be too exhausted to hit those really heavy weights, right? But at the same time, the intensity is still there because you're it's one of the factors of intensity is you're going to, near failure, basically. But anyways, so I just benched, one hard top working set, the 365 for 8. And I was like, okay, well, maybe I should drop down and do 315 or 225 AMRAP. But then I realized it's like, well, why would I do that? What's the point of doing that? I'm just going to fatigue myself more. I don't really care. I don't want to do too much or my shoulders feel crappy and I can't, I'll come back to bench in 2 days or whatever and I'll be even weaker. No, I want to recover in time. So I said, well, I did that good, hard strength exercise. I'm going to throw these straps on now. And I just simply did blood flow restriction, tricep push downs for 10 to 15 minutes or whatever. Got a juicy pump, right? Hopefully caused a lot of that, metabolic damage and stress or whatever to my tris. So I think it's the perfect complement, right? So that's kind of a new experiment I'm going to be trying. And on top of that, like I said yesterday, that experiment on top of, doing a hard grip, like a fat grip, thick grip, whatever, to the normal grip, to the strap grip, right? To squeeze out extra volume. And again, I've been too dogmatic about straps and all that. I think it's time to go back to them. Like, for instance, dumbbell rows. The crunch only goes up to 125 for dumbbells. So a million times I'd be like, well, I'll just quickly pyramid up or run the rack to do rows. And I'll get to the 125 and I'll do it for, a lot of reps. And I'll be like, all right, well, yeah, grip wasn't an issue at all. And this is probably good for strengthening my grip, right? Heavy dumbbell rows. But like at that point, I'm already warmed up. And as I mentioned yesterday, warming up is like the majority of the battle. It's what takes the most time. So if you're already warmed up and your strength is peaked and primed, and your nervous system's firing, you might as well hit that top set, right? But then you might as well throw on a strap, throw your straps on, and hit another top set with more volume. Because I bet I could, like I said yesterday, it's insane. You don't realize it, but when you take your grip out of the equation, you really can almost like double your strength, or maybe not double, but you could do like 50% more reps, like 100%. Because I tested that on lat pull-downs yesterday, seated rows, and pull-ups, and every time I did max with my, with no assistance, with my bare hands, and I was like, oh, that felt good. I got a lot of reps. I would put the straps on, and then I would bang out way more reps, like surprisingly. So it's just like, God, it's just such common sense, right? On top of that, fellas, we talked about the food, the cals, and all that kind of stuff a million times. Not much to mention there. As of right now with the leg training, and like I would love to, get more intense with all that, but it's just like I've noticed, like with squatting, once I get to anything above 300, I start getting like clicking and popping in my knee, which is just probably scar tissue. It just feels like crap. And same thing with deadlifts. I wanted to do RDLs the other day. I was like, I haven't done these in forever. I want to go heavy with these. And I had 455 on, which should not be heavy. It felt light in my hands. But as I was, hinging back and getting low, like below my knees, same thing. Clocking and clicking, ticking and popping, right? So it's like just annoying. So with that, it's just going to take a lot of time. Other than that, fellas, not too much more to update on. We're already going on 32 minutes here. Don't want to leave you guys waiting. I'm sucking down some coffee. What can I... Well, here's a little interesting story. Today, for the 365 top set, it was funny because I had my wife try to film it. I'm like, use your crappy phone. She's like, you sure you want to listen to Spotify on my phone? I'm like, nah, I'm fine. So I have my phone. I have my wired headphones. I have playing music on YouTube. I set up just as I'm about to unrack the weight. It's like it's skipping. The phone is rubbing against my fanny pack, like rewinding, like literally every 2 seconds it's rewinding back to the beginning of the song. The most annoying thing ever. I'm like, oh my God, like driving me insane. Midway through that set, when I really need some juice to pump me up, it goes to a freaking ad commercial break. Like the worst. Talk about being in the zone. Like everyone wants to be in the zone. This was literally, it couldn't be any more out of the zone than that. So, I think it's about time that I make the switch and just hop on, a family plan for Spotify or something. Because listen, I tell you guys all the time, it's all about the tunes. Sometimes it's all about the tunes. The tunes get you freaking, adrenaline flowing, get you laser focused, locked in the zone. With the freaking breakdown of the song, you freaking break at the PR. But when you have skipping and ad breaks and stuff like that, like you talk about killing gains. Honestly, talk about killing gains. Another thing I want to talk about here is this weekend I'll be going to Jujimufu's, okay? And we got the Devin, the arm wrestler, Antoine are going to be there, I believe. So what do you guys, Juji asked me, he's like, let me know if you have any ideas of what you want to do. And it's like, man, I don't know. As of right now, I'm just trying to get swole, trying to get jacked. I'm not doing any trick lifts, ego lifts, all that kind of stuff. Just swollen, jacked. But what do you guys think would be a good, entertaining? Like, what do you guys want to see? Basically, I guess help me out, help a brother out here to pitch some ideas, some stuff that would be fun. On top of that, guys, I'm gonna get going now. I'm gonna keep giving you guys updates. Try to get a little bit sooner with them. Problem is, like, it's just crazy right now. I'm not even like traveling or doing anything for work. I'm just lifting, doing physical therapy, and then family time. And on top of that, trying to get, consistent content with YouTube while I can before I'm not too busy. But it's like, man, I have no free time, it seems like. That's why right now I have the free time. The daughter's at gymnastics. I'm like, I gotta connect with the patrons, right? So I'm gonna try to. I will, and I know there's a billion questions. I gotta answer those, but man, I feel like just a lot of people that ask these questions don't even care anymore because the questions are a year old. But anyways, let me know what you guys want to see. If I can think of any more updates, I'll drop an update. But this is kind of like a training vlog per se. Let you know what works for me. Let you know what I'm trying. And again, I say it all the time, but let me know what you guys are doing, what's working for you. We have to pick each other's brains. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, it's like the freaking Del Hagen's Nasty Dirty Trio. You know what I'm saying? The Dirty Dick's Nasty 3 or whatever, the strap grip system. Like, I feel like that's money, gold. Like, if you guys stumble upon any gold, what is it? Spread the freaking golden knowledge, all right? With that being said, I'm going to suck down this coffee. I have a difficult task at hand I have to crush before the wife and the daughter come home. I have to move a queen and a king-size bed upstairs. Wish me luck because a fellow recovering from tendon surgery, going upstairs with a 500-pound mattress might be a little sketchy. So if I don't see you guys anytime soon, it's because I got smothered.